Welcome to The Funnel. My name is John Shea, and I'm president of Alignment Group. This is episode number 248 of The Funnel. You can't manage what you don't measure. Sales metrics. Before we begin, I want to remind you to head on over to alignment-group.com/The Funnel. Subscribe, and we will send you the show notes weekly. Don't forget, first-time subscribers get a free coaching call with me. Agenda, measure success. Sales metrics, key performance indicators, and data. Measure success. But before I get started on that, I do want to say that this is the first of a series of I have not finalized yet the number, but 3 or 4 that are going to talk about tracking activity and data and metrics and all that good stuff. So this is the first one, and I know for sure I have 2 more because they're written already. And I haven't decided whether I'm going to add a third to the other 2 that I've written to make it 4. So let's talk about measuring success. I think you should be obsessed with that, with the numbers. I think there's enough data out there and information out there that we can track just about anything. I remember going to someone in our company, an executive, when I was VP of sales. I think it was our VP of service or chief operating officer. I don't remember at the time. I don't remember. It's been a little while. But we sold hardware equipment, and we leased it ourselves, and we did pretty good business in that, and as well as software, document management software, and there was a bunch of other software. So we had this sort of 2 sides of the house that I was responsible for. But on the hardware side, one of the things that I looked at was the lease numbers, right? Because we would lease stuff for an extended period of time, 5 years normally. But somewhere around 3.5 years is when machines, they start requiring more parts. It doesn't mean that they perform any less or they're not good machines. We had and I can't say this enough, a stellar group of people supporting our clients in the field. So we didn't have a lot of problems with that because we spent the money on doing it right. Training the technicians, we're adding parts, showing up on time, all of the things that you're supposed to do. We did, and we did well. But one of the things I did was I reached out and said, hey, I think there has to be something said for profitability on the piece of equipment. But after 3 years or so, I imagine the cost of maintaining the equipment for us is higher because it starts to require parts. And I'm wondering if there's this break point where we can provide some break on an upgrade and we could lease them a new piece of equipment. And there was this sort of mental picture I had in my head that we could look at the average cost of a machine over its life and its yearly cost broken down by year and watch that trajectory go up and say, okay, this is the break point. This is where it costs us the most, and this is where it's going to get real expensive. So this is the time we should be moving on an upgrade. It helps us, it helps the client, et cetera, et cetera. And quite frankly, you looked at me like I was crazy. But I was obsessed with finding the answer to that question because I wanted to know, is there an opportunity here to do something that will help everybody? And the days of intuition should be over. Okay? You should be able to look at metrics in your sales department to help you be successful. Now, I was using a metric that was a little bit beyond just what we do in sales, but I think the point was made here. Do I want to know when and where you're having success as a rep and where you're failing? Well, metrics will help you do that. Key performance indicators will help you do that. So you need to pay attention to that. You need to work very hard to understand those numbers. And successful companies really measure the heck out of it. I'm going to go back to HubSpot. They measured everything with their reps. They put in a pretty complicated system and they measured everything. So they could tell you what was going on and when it was happening. And it helped their growth significantly. And you don't need a lot of money to implement something like this. So you want to measure that stuff. You want to measure success. You don't want to go on feeling. Well, they like me. What? I think they're going to buy because they said they might. Huh? I get it. That's part of it. The human condition, contact, talking to people, getting a sense and an intuition. But the numbers bear this out. Every time you get this far in a deal, this is what happens. Or 80% of the time, the deal gets stalled for 60 days or more when you're here. Why is that happening? So we begin to peel back the layers based on the metrics, and we can create fixes to help us get better at what we do and sell more. That's the objective, to sell more. Now, what I don't mean is putting on your sales reps a bunch of heavy labor, documenting every little thing that they do because you don't have the tools to help with that. So you bury them and you kill their sales field time. Or you expect them to stay up every night till midnight inputting information into a CRM. That's not what I'm talking about. So just be clear on that. So let's talk about some of the sales metrics that I think are important. And let me quickly define a metric here. It represents the individual sales rep, right? Or the team's performance, or the company's performance. So it's rep, team, or company. Those metrics tell you how they're performing. We use them to track our progress towards our numbers or our goals and to make changes and adjustments from everything from pricing to compensation. With good metrics, we can spot a problem before it gets out of hand or before it becomes too much of a problem. That's kind of the same thing, right? You said the same thing. You get the point. They provide valuable information. So some of the things that you use in sales metrics are your sales activities, right? What you're doing on a daily basis as a sales rep, daily, weekly, month. Obviously, the pipeline and the forecast, because we've talked about that. And I used to preach that to no end with my team. If we had an accurate pipeline and accurate forecast, and we could predict the future, we could get resources and product in place ahead of time. Sales metrics are used to track how you're doing with inbound, from marketing to sales. What are you doing with those inbound leads? How successful are you? Is it the leads? Is it, reps always say, well, the leads suck. Okay. Well, if we have the right metrics in place, we can learn that. Maybe a rep is saying the leads suck, and 5 other reps are performing much better in selling the leads they're receiving. And it's on a round robin. So what do you think the problem would be there? Maybe there's something going on with the rep. Metrics will help you with that. Now, if all of them are underperforming or not performing, well, you do some work and figure out, does your team have a problem with inbound selling? Because it is a little bit different than the outbound. Or is the marketing team missing the message? And we need to get with them and help them understand the messaging because you're getting the wrong kind of leads. That's what metrics help you understand. Outbound, dirty little secret. You can't survive in a world where inbound is the only option, where you're only living off of inbound leads. You need to drive your own outbound business as a sales rep in any company. So we want to know how you're doing with your outbound. We want to know how you're doing with your prospecting. Are you doing warm emails, phone call follow-ups? I don't know. What are you doing with that prospecting? The sales metrics will help you track that. And of course, your conversion rates. How am I converting on everything from an inbound lead to an outbound opportunity or referral, prospecting? It takes me X number of emails to X number of prospects to convert one to an appointment. And Sally over there is converting better than Johnny over here. What is she doing differently? Metrics will help you understand that. So then you can apply what you've learned with Sally to Johnny and improve his numbers. That's what sales metrics do for you. I know some of you are probably saying, no kidding, John. Why are you telling me this? Because there are some new managers out there that don't understand. There are people that think, well, I just need to track how many calls they're making a day. You make 100 calls, you get 10 appointments, you make 1 sale. Okay. Well, it's not that simple anymore. Okay. Try making 100 cold calls in today's world. It's insanity. There are still companies out there that take the reps out in the field and show them how to knock on doors. They walk into places. Who's responsible for buying toilet paper for your company? Seriously? With all the data and all the information that's available to you as a rep and all the opportunities to create warm connections, that's how you're going to create opportunities for yourself? Well, it's going to take more than 100 of those. I can tell you that. It's going to take like 300. And you can't just pick up the phone and get a hold of somebody. So sales metrics help you manage and understand all of that so you can make good quality decisions. And those people with their head stuck in the sand, still living under rocks and still doing it the old way, they're avoiding the obvious. That there are metrics out there that can help them run their business, and they don't want to spend the time or the money or the effort to do it. So just keep that in mind. Key performance indicators. So what is a key performance indicator? Sometimes they're the same as a metric, but sometimes they're not. Key performance indicator is more big picture, right? So if we're trying to drive a particular product or service in our company, we're looking at that as a percentage of total sales and how we can drive that up. Okay, that's a key performance indicator. Except a key performance indicator is really tied to the entire company's strategy. That's what we're looking for. And again, we're looking at how the company's working. So maybe we want to get more people to sign up for our $50 a month product, and we need to figure out a way to do that efficiently because it's only a $50 a month product. So it's $600 a year. So what is the cost of acquiring a client? And how can we lower that? KPI. We can look at it for inbound. We can look at it for outbound changes. And it is different in some cases by department, or obviously it's different by company. Different leaders in different parts of the company are managing different KPIs. And they're important to the overall picture. So think of KPI as more of a big picture item, and sales metrics specifically related to how sales reps are performing or how you're performing in sales from a team to the individual level, and in some cases to the company level. But KPI is more about strategy. All right, let's talk about data. As some people say, data. Okay. So what is data? And how do we use it? Okay. Well, there's different types of data that we're using here. We're using data for leading indicators. We're using data for lagging indicators. Okay. A leading indicator, okay, tells you different things than the lagging indicator. Okay? So a leading indicator is predicting your results. It's that simple. How am I trending on this product? How am I trending on that? Should I change based on what the indicators are telling me? It's difficult to track that because it's the future. It's what potentially could happen in the future. Okay? But it is important to know what those indicators are because you need to make changes based on them. Okay? A leading indicator could be potential business for next year. So I'm looking out over my forecast. I see existing customer base, and I know I can upgrade X number of businesses. So if I, on average, upgrade 90% of my clients, in the same price range, I can pretty much from a leading indicator predict what I'm going to do. And then say, well, this is how much new business I need in order to hit my number. Okay? And then afterwards I look at it and say, okay, this is how much I did. And this is how much new business I put in place. And what does that mean for me? Okay, I did the 90%, but I didn't do the new business. I fell short on the new business. So what does that mean for me? What do I have to do differently to make that work? Why am I not getting new business? Well, reps aren't sufficiently trained on prospecting. They don't know how to go get new business because they have a core business group of clients that they've been doing business with for a long time and they know they can upgrade. So what can we do to incent them to sell more net new business? Carrot and stick. We can provide dollars and money as an incentive. We can provide the stick. Your bonus is paid out for hitting both new business and upgrade numbers versus just hitting the number. So there's things you can do with lagging indicators versus leading indicators. And you can apply additional metrics to that or determine what's next for you. Okay? And depending on what you're selling and how you're selling it, it's different. If you're selling a piece of hardware, it's a little bit different. All of this stuff is a little bit different than if you're selling a SaaS-based product, for example, or a software or project-based stuff. So just keep that in mind as you begin to think about metrics and data. In the next couple podcasts, we'll dig deeper into things like the sales metrics and what you should track, because I think that will be helpful to you. As always, thank you for subscribing to The Funnel. You can go to alignment-group.com/The Funnel. Hit the subscribe button. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter @ShayJohn, or LinkedIn. Contact me, jshay@alignment-group.com. Head on over to the website. There's some cool stuff over there, things that you can download. We have not only our podcast, but our blog that's posted twice a week. And if you subscribe to either one of them, you get the weekly show notes and links and all of our published content. I don't know why that couldn't come out, but it comes out every Thursday. And of course, like I said before, take advantage of the free coaching call. I have folks that do it all the time. I have some folks that sign up but don't. I understand you may not think you need it. That's fine. Thank you for subscribing, and as always, keep filling the funnel.